All right, so we are screen recording right now, and this is a combined PowerPoint, obviously for CA Cross, my other school, and the zoo school. So we'll specifically talk about zoo school when we get to some of the slides. So, but with that being said, I'll get going here. Again, just so for background noise and to help kind of reduce that, if you can just make sure that you're muted. If you have any questions, please make sure you put that into the chat. And we'll address those towards the end of the PowerPoint. So with that being said, I'm just gonna start going here. So again, disclaimer, all the plans are subjected to change. You know, as we start to talk about and look to discuss as we move forward into the hybrid plan. You know, we have a set plan right now that we feel comfortable with as a zoo school staff. But again, with the ongoing, never-ending, as it seems, changes with everything, everything is subjected to change. So the current plan right now to go to hybrid is still January 4th, set by the district. When we're looking at, and we'll kind of talk about slides, and we look at the Kent County Health Department and the CDC for new guidelines and updated guidelines as we continue to go. There is a GRPS COVID dashboard that, if you haven't seen it in the PowerPoint yet, I'll make sure that we talk about that and address that as well. And then the goal to inform our return to learn plans is no later than December 17th from where we go. So a lot of the slides are duplicates for in Spanish as well. So I might just take a quick pause as I talk with that to have a quick read for each of the slides as well. But again, I'll just keep reiterating. If you have any questions that pop up, please put them in the chat and we'll get to and address those towards the end. So the new health epidemic order for the 3-week pause. I'm sure everybody's kind of seen this. This has been going around social media quite frequently and quite often. But the decision to have all schools K-12 closed from the district is much like many other districts, I think, around the area as well, have closed K-12 too. So I knew some of the Zooies who were going out for boys basketball. You know, if you're on here listening, I was actually planning on coaching that, but that's everything's put on pause for that too. So hopefully, you know, once we get closer to December 8th for a decision of how that looks. But just know that GRPS as a district really looks at these orders that are put in place and looks to follow them as closely to the T as we can. So, so really kind of on the screen, what the zoo school pretty much kind of look at the bottom in red. Our school day will start when we go into the hybrid model at 8:10 and we will release at 3:06. And then for the most part, we'll have our group, our A group and B group hybrids. So A will be Monday and Tuesday, B will still be Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, everybody is online. And with that schedule that we follow, it'll be, you know, that group A will go into and will be split. So we kind of look at it as, you know, Mr. Fordney's class will all, you know, whatever that group is, we look to split it, and half will go with Mr. Fordney, half will go with Miss Anderson. And throughout the course of the day, whether it's a combined going up into the zoo or combined activity between the two groups, but they will eventually flip. So you'll get, you know, roughly in a 6-hour plan, you'll get 3 hours of Mr. Fordney, 3 hours of Miss Anderson, and reverse it. Same thing with the B group on Thursdays and Fridays, same structure. The nice part about this too is in the hybrid model, we'll also at zoo, we will have the capability to have our virtual students chime in. However, with that, you know, being out in the zoo is kind of obviously one of our priorities, and we want to get the students up into the zoo as much as possible. So there may be a good combination of live instruction and independent work during that time as well. So, but just know that there may be videos that kids can kind of chime in from time to time when the availability allows to. Obviously, the teachers at Zoo will be the same. Nobody's schedule will change, which means even if you have chosen virtual, which we did have a few families that did choose that choice, they will still be able to chime in and have Mr. Forney and Ms. Anderson with live instruction throughout the day as well. And Ms. Whitcomb, who's also on the call, can also help facilitate all that virtual independent work as well. So symptom reminders. So now as we kind of get through the PowerPoint, there's going to be a lot of when we do come back and what the kind of process and procedure is going to be with all this. So I'm sure everybody by now is very familiar with what the symptoms are. So I'm not going to kind of read through all of this, but obviously we want parents, even before you start to even send your students out to school for the day, to really kind of look at what the symptoms are. If your child is experiencing any of these symptoms and all that kind of stuff. So, and then what to do when why to keep your child home. And a lot of these questions will be sent in a screener, which we'll get to in 2 seconds as well. But obviously paying attention and everybody, right? Not just the students, but the parents yourselves, what symptoms you have that are new developments and really kind of like unexplained developments that go into that screening process. Again, same information in Spanish here. Again, and we can post this out. I'll send the recording out as well to everybody too. So the student screener from the health department for a big recommendation, and then we're going to require it here at GRPS. It'll look something in the form of a Google form. Really kind of quick and simple, as easy as possible for families to kind of navigate through with that screener. But staff, so myself, Ms. Whitcomb, Ms. Anderson, Mr. Forney, and Ms. Ferguson will all be reviewing what that data looks like, along with our nurse as well, to determine if any action's happening. So really, like with the screener and what the benefit is with that for us is making sure that you're taking the screener before the school day even starts, because we will kind of get flagged and see if a child is at school and did not take the screener. We'll have to have a parent do that. So that means we'll have to contact the parent about that and fill it out. So students won't be able to fill out the screener themselves. We really want parent participation in that right away in the morning. And this will be sent through our school messenger sites as well. Kind of a good thing to do when this happens, because staff right now have to do it, is once it's open, and if you use Chrome, Safari, is to kind of have that tab open each day, and then you can submit a new response. So it's kind of right there, ready to go, and you just you keep doing it each day as needed. So again, what to do if your student tests positive or is a close contact. So if your student is home, or if they need immediate family member test positive or has been identified as a close contact to an individual who's tested positive, they need to immediately notify the school and school nurse. So we'll make sure that we get out our school nurse contact info obviously right before we come back to the hybrid model. Otherwise, notifying Ms. Whitcomb and Ms. Ferguson and myself. So we'll have all that contact info shared in like a nice little printable or something that you can access quick and easy is our goal for that. And then following guidance from the healthcare provider and the school nurse. So there's communication with all of that. And if a student or staff member tests positive or is a close contact, communication will be sent out via email, text, and posted to the school webpage within 24 hours. So for those of you who have students at another district outside, you may have been getting something like that if that district has been in person, full face-to-face, or in some type of hybrid model as well. So typically school districts have started to post kind of like a bigger spreadsheet or data that shows the amount of cases and close contacts and quarantines each day. This is just a sample student positive case letter. There is obviously nothing will be identified about who the student is or anything like that. You'll just pretty simply know we had a case today, and here's what to do with symptoms, and if you come down with symptoms and that kind of stuff as well. So mask expectations and process. We are in the works of actually trying to get some Zoom masks, so at least our students will have something. But really simple to kind of understand. For those of you who can wear masks, it's got to cover the nose and the mouth. The tighter onto the face, the better. And we're really kind of following that kind of strict process and expectation for doing so. For those of you who can't and have a medical reason why you can't wear a mask, that information won't be shared. However, we do have to have documentation with our nurse and myself, just so. So if for some reason you cannot wear a mask, with that, we have to have medical documentation from a doctor. And with mask expectations and process, going back into the hybrid and going up into the zoo, it will be required going up into the zoo. And then we'll try to obviously social distance the best that we can. However, when we're up in the zoo, masks will be required as well. All right, cleaning process and procedures. So this is kind of a generic GRPS at zoo because we do share the space with the zoo staff. There's some quirks and uniqueness with that. The part where not that anybody's been in the building, but the restrooms that are typically used will be closed off, and the zoo school staff and students will have access to one of the public restrooms that are connected through a back hallway in the zoo. And that will be cleaned, deep cleaned every day by zoo custodians. And it will be locked to the public during that time as well. So it'll be cleaned every single night, and then it will be deep cleaned either on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night as well, and then locked again. So that's kind of the process. Our goal was to have a video to kind of show everybody what that looks like. That is still a goal. But as we get closer and able to get back into the zoo itself, we'll be sure to do that just to kind of have everybody see what we're talking about. But in terms of in the classrooms, everything will be cleaned by the zoo custodians as well. And then anything additional by Mr. Forney, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Wickham, and Ms. Ferguson as well. So, but within, and both teachers right now do have their classrooms set up where we are social distance 6 feet from center to center. That allows for 13 to 14 students to sit 6 feet apart within each classroom, which does help. So the 6 feet is kind of a big deal because it does eliminate and help reduce the contact tracing. Not to say that symptoms can't be spread, but it does help with reducing contact tracing because we can assure that that 6 feet apart is maintained. So school meals, grab and go sites, really this is kind of like happening right now as well and will continue to happen. So for those of you who are virtual at the day, you still can go during lunch, any of the closest sites. So that could be a school closest to you anywhere within GRPS, and you can do a grab and go meal as well. The in-person school and breakfast and lunch at zoo, unique because there is no hot lunches. It'll all be cold stack lunches for the kids coming in for the in-person learning that day. Obviously we've got our rooms set up, 6 feet social distancing, so we can comfortably assure that the students can take their masks off, maintain that 6 feet. However, it will look different, right? So everybody will have to stay seated, required to stay at a seat the entire time. When it's nice out and hopefully not a brutal Michigan winter like we're all anticipating any day, and then it could be 60 and then below 10 below. If they're able to go outside, staying 6 feet apart, students can eat lunch outside as well. Just quick technology reminders. So even right now, if you have a device from GRPS and you need assistance with it or anything like that, it gets broken, it's malfunctioning, something, you can call 301-1111. And another good site too is Distance Learning Help Desk at grps.org. But there are specific times and locations for technology that you can call and use if need be. So, transportation. So there is a new transportation hotline. Again, this will all be shared in much more detail, and everybody have access, easier access for transportation hotline at 6100. For our students that, obviously sixth graders don't take the rapid, which is the public transportation, our students take Dean, and Dean is working with the district in terms of getting seating charts within buses, looking at social distancing the best that they can. However, when students are on the bus, they need to wear masks. There'll be sanitized bottles as they enter and as they exit, and protocols for the bus, just like we had protocols for the school as well. These last few slides before we get to the dashboard here is, so the consent forms are different than what everyone kind of saw the letter and chose for hybrid or virtual. The consent forms are generic GRPS forms that need to be completed. If you've completed these, awesome, you're greatly ahead of the game. We're still trying to catch up on everything. If you have any questions on what the consent forms are, obviously it's contact information is the most stuff, but in order to get all the emails, robocalls, text messages from myself and Ms. Ferguson, you must opt in to do that. And by doing that, it's a consent form. So if you haven't done that already, it's a really quick and simple step that you can access and do, and it links everything to our Synergy program, which is parent view, student view for our families. So the next 3 slides here is our metrics dashboard, where the district will be looking at this to kind of inform our return to in-person learning at school, and it'll show our data sources, what the metric looks like, our target, the risk level definitions, in Spanish as well, and then it looks at again, this is based off of what our district leadership is doing. So our superintendent, Dr. Roby, and her cabinet members, they will be kind of assessing what this looks like to inform themselves, inform our families, inform the district of what next steps that we're going to do. So as the numbers look like in Kent County and in surrounding areas, these are the metrics that they're going to use. Dr. Roby is pretty upfront with using science and data to help inform decisions. So just know that it's not our decision, but it's Dr. Roby and her leadership team using these data metrics as well. So hopefully quick information. So now if there are any questions, obviously feel free to put them in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute, just kind of quickly put in the chat, I have something to say or ask, and then I can kind of call on you. So. But with that being said, too, if you are good and don't have any questions, don't feel like you need to stay. Again, this is being recorded and will be shared as well. So, yeah. The help desk number is 8. Go back to the slide. It was, I believe, 301-1111. I missed it. Sorry.
It is 301-1111.
There you go. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Jill, if you want to put that in the chat for everybody as well, that'd be great. Question from Angela: if a student is positive for COVID, will they need another test done to test negative before returning? That's a great question. Definitely have to ask. I'll get that answer from our nurse and kind of feedback on what that is as well. Typically with general public information that I know, and again, this is not confirmed by any means, once positive and the quarantine has for that positive case has expired, I think that notion of the 90 days group, but once you've, I think, quarantines, we're really looking at what those symptoms are. So if the symptoms somehow continue, even after the positive test and the expiration of the quarantine, if there still are symptoms, there may be a request to get another test. Yeah, but that's something we can follow up for sure with our nurse to get a definite answer. So, but thank you for the question. Would there be a meeting C? In regards to the two hybrid groups, I think clarification on that. So there's just an A group for hybrid and for in-person and a B group for in-person. And those students who are at home and not in person that day will have independent learning work and opportunities to join live instruction as well throughout the case of the day. So there is not a meeting C if that's what the reference was. A question from Amy: with the lower standards set by the state of Michigan for middle school and elementary schools versus high school, what is the difference in positivity threshold for zoo school to have classes versus GRPS high schools? So the district as a whole, again, is making decisions as the district, and no school is out of that realm. As much as I know the zoo in Blandford and other unique programs that we have, within the district, we all do fall within decisions of GRPS and kind of unavoidable on that. So we do follow what our superintendent and her board and the district kind of are assessing and kind of having us do as well. So will there be a meeting regarding confirmation of hybrid closer to January 4th? Yeah, everybody should, there will be information shared no later than the 17th of December. So they're trying to get, right before Christmas break, so nobody's really worried. However, if we do have a decision and move forward with a hybrid on January 4th, we might be having another Zoom meeting and kind of sharing videos and different kind of expectations of what to do when students come back. So I'll have it pretty well laid out for everybody of, the kind of step-by-step and what the day will look like up until, everything from waking up to how you enter the zoo school, where you get dropped off, where you get picked up. I'll try to get as detailed as possible, and we can for sure have that conversation as well. Maribeth, if there's an activity at the zoo, will it be repeated for the other group when they're in person? Yeah, I mean, Mr. Forney's here if you'd like to chime in and kind of talk to that. But yeah, we will be doing similar activities just so everybody has that same experience, hands-on when they're in person. So.
Yeah, our plan there for cohort A, when they're with us on Monday, Tuesday, we would have a specific sense that we would repeat for group B on Thursday and Friday. So any opportunities to get up into the zoo would be equal for both groups. Again, there might be this off chance that there's a unique situation that comes up on a Monday or something where the zoo asks us to participate in something that it was just specific to that day. But those those could happen, but our plan would be to definitely get both groups up the same amount of time. So essentially what group A learns Monday, Tuesday, group B would be learning the same concepts on Thursday and Friday. So that's kind of how and with it coming back as cohort A and B, the extra switching in between, we might be able to work with more flexibility there and maybe keep, like for me, for example, if they start with me in the morning, they may be able to stay all day on Monday and then just come to me Tuesday. We'll see how that works out. But, we're looking at different scenarios depending too on what concepts we're going to be teaching. So good question.
And we do, and all the while when we go up, we obviously have to follow what John Ball Zoo has established for their own guidelines as well. But we've been pretty on point so far with what's required and what we're going to have our students do for GRPS, but we definitely got to make sure that we're following what our zoo colleagues as well require to. So.
Yeah, and as of right now, I just was in communication with Rhiannon, who's their head of their educational programming, and she said that the animal encounters will continue. They'll be coming remotely. We had one today. It was really cool with hissing cockroaches. So I think the kids enjoyed that one. So those are continue. And she assured me that the zoo would be open to staff if we needed to get in to make any kind of video or anything like that. So they're being very flexible with us. And I know the passes and things, as long as it's open, that those will still be good to use throughout the school year too. So those things will still be in place as we move forward.
Thank you. Question from Bella, when we go into hybrid, will we be able to do some of the activities that we missed during online learning, like behind the scenes aquarium tours? I think, Bella, if I understand that question right, if you are in cohort B and the group does something in cohort A, you'll do the same. If you somehow miss that, Mr. Forty and Ms. Anderson have been getting better and better at recording what they do. But we definitely have materials and tools to do that, to kind of record and post that to their Google Classrooms. So at the very least, let's say you have a doctor's appointment, you missed that or something like that. We'll try our best to record that session so you can still see it as well.
I mean, I think part of that too, Bella, maybe be that we've talked about certain projects, and we did push some of our projects forward to anticipation that we will be going back hybrid. So the answer to some of the ones we've missed so far this fall, the answer would be yes to that, because we felt it would be much more practical to run those in a hybrid situation. So we're hoping, that that situation will occur. So we can get to those. But yes, so we have pushed a few of them that we normally do in the fall into the spring, which just a minor adjustment on our end. It'll be the same project. It'll just happen in the spring instead of the fall.
All right, that's all the questions right now. Again, great questions. I appreciate everybody asking. Yeah, and as people either join and stay, again, like if you're good to go and don't have any questions, enjoy your night. But yeah, if you're still kind of sitting and thinking and want to do that, we can wait for sure. So yeah. And if you'd like to unmute, this is a great time to do that as well. So. All right. So obviously, no other questions at the moment.
I think one.
Oh.
I think one just popped up there, Mr. Lundvik. So if the classes were to have less people than anticipated in the hybrid model, would there be a chance for 5 days? Probably not, I would say, because of the cleaning. They want to do that deep clean in between.
Correct.
So I would anticipate a no to that. I would say they'd probably keep the 4 days because they need that deep clean on Wednesdays.
And we're anticipating, I think, a majority of our zoo students to come hybrid. So yeah, we'll really like the split and why the two groups A and B help kind of with that is that maintaining that 6 feet of social distance. Again, I know other school districts are, they may be anywhere between 2 feet to 5 feet. But if one student comes down as a positive case, it's anyone and everyone around within a 6 foot radius of them is now a close contact, and they have to go home and quarantine, for 14 to kind of 21 days. So in order for us to kind of assure everyone that close contacting won't happen and isn't a thing, school will look a bit different as well. There won't be group work, there won't be shared materials. Students will have to be required to sit in their seat for the majority of the day. Mr. Forty and Ms. Anderson will have to maintain their 6 feet of social distance because it's 6 feet for a cumulative 15 minutes throughout the day. So if you are in, anything within 6 feet for 15 minutes, you will now become a close contact. So again, making sure, kind of think like a testing environment, if you will. At a desk facing forward, away from everybody, one student out of the room at a time for restroom use and that type of stuff. So.
There's another question there.
Maribeth, if school is not able to start on January 4th, is GRPS considering pushing back the start date by a few weeks versus the entire marking period? This is an assumption. I think if they push it back, they're going to try to look to get students back as soon as possible under safe and healthy conditions. So I don't think it's anybody's goal to push it another full marking period. They want to obviously looking at that dashboard and what the metrics are. If the numbers are starting to decrease because more people are wearing masks, or the numbers are just going down. We're in that like rough area right now with like the cold and flu season becoming more rapid, and unable to tell if it's a true cold or flu or versus COVID or something completely different. So I think they're going to look what's the closest date based off of the data metrics that we have in Kent County. So. Good question. All right. So again, we can kind of hang out, but again, if you're good with all questions, this is being recorded, and we'll push it out as well. But with that kind of being said, yeah, I hope everybody again has a great night. And if there's no others, I'll kind of hang out. I'll do our wait time usually in a normal school setting can be 30 seconds. Seems like 30 seconds. Where 10 seconds here virtually seems more like 5 minutes, but we'll for sure kind of hang out a little bit more. But if you are good to go, have a great night, and we will obviously be in touch. School is still going on tomorrow, and make sure you're reaching out to Mr. Ford and Miss Anderson as often as possible. But I appreciate everybody coming tonight. Thank you. All right. Have a great night, everybody. We're going to stop recording and end.